going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Nomo White here again with another video. But before we get into the video, I would like to give a shout out to my first ever member to the channel. I don't know if you guys know, there is a member section that you can click to join. You don't have to join, obviously. It is a per month payment, and all it does is go to help me out to just keep putting out videos. Again, it's not something you have to do, but obviously if you guys want to do, I will greatly appreciate it. But I do have my first ever member. His name is Upperfoot. That's the subscriber. That's his name. So shout out to him for watching the videos and just being an awesome guy. So I thank you very much for that. I would like to say that you guys probably see that we're getting close to 1,000 subscribers. I have mentioned in another video before that I would like to do some type of giveaway when I get to 1,000 subscribers, which is getting really close. I do already have a prize for you guys to win. Obviously I just need to get there first. So I really appreciate it if you guys would just watch the videos, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It really helps me out a lot. I'm just a small guy, you know, from humble beginnings here, I guess, if you want to call it that. You know, I'm not doing some $100,000 builds or any of that, but I'm just out here having fun, trying to share what I know with you guys so that you guys can learn and you know, learn from my mistakes as well. So with that being said, let's just get right into today's video. So if you guys couldn't tell, well, maybe you can tell, outside it's raining and the weather has been real crappy lately. So I really couldn't do too much to the car. So it'd be a good day to kind of give a review of the cxracing turbo kit. I have had it on the car for, I don't know, probably about 7 months now, maybe. Yeah, 6 or 7 months. I don't know, I have to go back and check, but I have had it on here. It hasn't been without struggles with the kit. I'll just say that up front so you know. However, it's not the end of the world for most stuff, but there definitely are some things that I don't really like about the kit too much. But I'm definitely going to try and touch bases with every single aspect of this kit, so that way whoever wants to buy this kit can at least know what they're getting themselves into. You have to apologize if sometimes, you know, I switch between my face and the car, just showing you things on the car that I think probably could be a little bit better with the kit. But first off is the price. The price matters to everybody. That's a huge point into boosting any car or modifying anything. And I will say that the price of the cxracing kit compared to other kits that are on the market, I think the XS Power kit is the only other kit that's cheaper, and I think it's about $1,600 or $1,700 or something like that. I'm not really too sure, but I have heard pretty bad things about that kit. I mean, I've also heard good things about it as well, so I don't know, I'm not really here to critique that kit. But the cxracing kit, you literally get everything you need to bolt it onto the car for about $2,400 shipped to your house. So that's the turbo, the manifold, the blow-off valve, the wastegate, intercooler piping, everything, all the brackets and everything you would need to bolt it onto the car, which is fantastic. So you really can't go wrong with that type of kit, especially when there's other manifolds alone, you know, like from PHR Racing, let's say, those are selling for, I don't know, probably $3 grand just for the manifold itself. And don't get me wrong, that manifold's beautiful. It will probably last a very long time. But for what you get in this kit, just as basically like a building foundation, it's a pretty good price for an entry-level turbo kit. So price-wise, I mean, I'm definitely going to give it a thumbs up. Like I said, you can't really get any other kit for the price, and it's just, I mean, for bang for the buck, it's pretty good. The next thing is, with that kit, you can also choose to not run their turbo or their wastegate, so that'll save you another about 300 bucks. So get you around $2,100, and then you can go on ahead and buy your own turbo and your own wastegate if you want to do that. And that brings me to the first point. If you guys have been following along with this build, I did have the kit, I installed the kit, and I had it up and running probably for about, I don't know, maybe a month or so. And I would just like to say, first off, getting this kit fitted onto the car itself is a challenge. Like, everything needs to be aligned just perfectly. The manifold has to go on a certain way. You know, you are going to have to like get into that back bolt on there just to get the manifold on the very back bolt by the firewall. Was a major pain in the butt. I ended up having to cut a wrench, bend it with some heat, and that enabled me to kind of tighten that bolt up. I don't know, that back bolt is just, it's really hard to get to. You can forget about getting to it with the turbo on or with the downpipe in your way. It's just not going to work. I mean, everything else fits fine. The intercooler fit fine. There aren't any instructions that come with this kit, so I basically had to look on their website to see how the intercooler bolted up. But I mean, I guess you could figure that out if you you know, have a little bit of a brain, I suppose. But I will say that the manifold and fitting the turbo, especially with the ABS stuff in the way, it's really tight. Like, it's a tight squeeze. I'm not going to say it's easy at all. It's definitely really hard. When it comes to bolting the turbo to the manifold itself, you definitely have to clock the turbo just right, because the intercooler piping is really tight. Sorry, I can't really show you down there, but just underneath this pipe, the elbow that comes off of the turbo and goes down around to the intercooler, it's just a tight squeeze, and everything is really tight. I will say that about this kit. It's just a tight squeeze. Everything is hard to put on. I mean, once it's on, it's good, and there's no problem with it, but it is a tight squeeze to get it on. I did end up having to buy a different set of bolts to mount the turbo to the flange, because the ones that came with the kit just didn't work at all. I suggest just throwing those out. Don't even mess with them. So, as you can see, I have another turbo that's sitting over here. This is the original turbo that came with the kit. You see, it says cxracing on it, and it's not a bad turbo. Like, it built boosts, and I'm sure it'll be fine up until, I don't know, probably 400 or 500 horsepower, probably like 500 or 500 horsepower or so. But the thing is, it failed. Like, I only had it on the car for like 150 miles, and it just started puking oil out all over the place. And obviously that's dangerous. It just leaked right onto the hot manifold. I'm glad I didn't have a fire, but yeah, it just failed, just straight up failed. So I mean, there's no shaft play or any of that. I mean, it still spins fine. So I mean, it probably could be rebuilt or something, but you know, I guess what can you expect? It's a $200 turbo, and that's just kind of where it is. So I don't recommend getting their turbo at all. Even their upgraded ball bearing turbo is like $300 or something like that. I don't even think it's worth it. I think your probably best bet is to just go to either straight to a brand name turbo, or just go to another turbo. I ended up getting a turbo from Speedway Motors. You can check the stuff out in other videos. All the specs and whatnot are on there, but that one's been on there for now for about 4 months, I believe, and it's perfectly fine. All right, so the next thing that I would like to talk about is the wastegate. Again, this goes hand in hand with their turbo and the wastegate. You can get the kit without them or with them. I just chose to buy everything with it, and my plan was to just run everything, and just ran it until it broke. And you know, unfortunately the turbo broke pretty quickly, so I just had to go on ahead and buy a replacement for that. But the wastegate is here. This is the one that comes with the kit. I will say that it only comes with a 12-pound spring in it. At least when I bought the kit, it only had a 12-pound spring. And if you're running a stock GE right off the bat, I'm going to tell you, don't run that spring, because that is more than likely going to blow up this motor. So you're definitely going to have to buy a spring for this style of wastegate, because there's not going to be any other way that you can get it to make any lower boosts, and you don't want to run it without a spring. So you definitely have to buy a spring, or see if they have an option that comes with the spring. I didn't choose to run this really for no particular reason, I guess. It is kind of big, and fitting it in there just looked like it was going to be kind of a hassle. I'm sure it fits just fine. Obviously they made the kit, but I went on ahead and bought like a more compact wastegate from Summit Racing. So that wastegate was only like $100, and it came with a lot of different springs. So there's probably really nothing wrong with this wastegate at all, but I just chose not to run it. I mean, I'm pretty sure it functions. I mean, it just opens and closes. There's probably nothing wrong with it at all. So I guess if you want to run their wastegate, you can go on ahead and do so. Getting away from those 2 points, again, I don't recommend using their turbo, any one of their turbos. Just go on ahead and get a different turbo. Wastegate is kind of up to you. As far as everything else is concerned, like the intercooler piping, all that stuff fits up just fine. There aren't any instructions, so you kind of just have to, like I said, I just used their website and looked at their pictures, and I got everything on. You will have to trim out the bumper quite significantly on this side in order to get this pipe up into the throttle body, but really all of it's pretty straightforward. All the intercooler piping is bead rolled. so you know, it won't slip off under high boosts. I'm only running about 7 pounds right now, so I'm not having any issues with it. The intercooler does work well. A lot of people say it sucks, but I mean, it does kind of suck because it, you know, it has to, it's like 3 inches down here, but then up here when it goes behind the crash bar, it really, you know, it goes down like this thick. So I don't even know if it's really helpful. They probably should have just had the bottom section alone, but I don't know, it is what it is. It fits, it works. My intake air temperatures definitely do go down, even though, you know, all the hot air is getting sucked in right here because of my manifold there. It really does work really well, and you know, for what it is, at least at these horsepower levels that I'm at. So there's really no complaints with the intercooler. Everything fits just fine. I don't think I had any issues with the intercooler piping or any of the couplers at all. I believe all that fit just fine. So definitely, if you wanted to just buy the intercooler kit by itself, because I think CX Racing sells just intercooler kit for this car, I definitely recommend it because it works really good. I am running their blow-off valve, as you can tell. I wish I wasn't, but unfortunately their intercooler piping comes with this 2-bolt flange style. If you wanted to switch to a different style blow-off valve, like a Greddy or an HKS style, you'd have to get an adapter to run those, but I'm just running the one that came with the kit. It is adjustable. Of course, it's really cheap, but I haven't had any issues with it at all. It's been working perfectly fine. It's been holding pressure. I have it hooked up, you know, to vacuum source as you should, and it works perfectly fine. I haven't had any issues with it at all. I don't think I'm going to change it, you know, in the foreseeable future. I'm just going to run it like it is, so definitely nothing wrong with that at all. I guess the only other thing really to talk about is the manifold itself. The manifold, as I mentioned earlier in the video, the only gripe I have with the manifold is it's just super tight, and that's kind of the trade-off you have to make. If you want to keep your ABS, this is the manifold you got to run, and that's just kind of how it is. Alternatively, you can run like a cast manifold, like Spa makes one, I believe. Treadstone might make one as well, which will put the turbo under on the bottom, but again, that's just a completely different setup, and those don't come in kits. So if you did want to buy the CX Racing turbo kit and maybe sell that manifold and use everything else, you probably could do that or make that work. But I don't know, overall the manifold is fine. I highly suggest wrapping the manifold with heat wrap. Otherwise, you are going to have some crazy underhood engine temps, and you don't want any of that, especially being so close to the brake lines and all that. You definitely need to get yourself a turbo blanket because, as I mentioned before, this stuff is running right next to the brake lines, and you don't want to get those hot. I just got that turbo blanket off Amazon. It was like $30, and it's been working perfectly fine. Like, I can go rip this thing, get it real hot, and touch the brake lines with my hands, and they're still just fine. So there's no problems with that at all there. The downpipe on this car also is extremely hard to put on. I don't even know how else to put it. It's just hard to get in there. So there's probably some kind of special way that they did it at CX Racing factory, but man, trying to get it up in there, you had to do like a whole 360 backflip just to get in there, and it was hard to do. But I did get it in there. It is wrapped. The V-band that came with their kit was garbage. I had to go buy a different V-band, and so far so good. It's been holding up. It is 3-inch, which is good, and it goes down to replace the factory third cat back there. So all of that is 3-inch, and I just have it bolted up to the stock IS300 exhaust. So it will bolt up to the stock exhaust, no problem. I don't recommend it because I know I'm just choking this car for power right now, but you know, I haven't got around to getting the catback exhaust yet. But as far as it bolting up and being pretty much 100% bolt-on kit, that is true. The only thing I had to do was drill a hole right here for this intercooler pipe to come up through the like shock tower area. I think I used a 3.5-inch hole saw and sawed that hole out so that pipe can get through. That's really the only extensive modification I had to do. Oh, and I had to cut this bracket at the bottom to fit the intercooler in because it was interfering with this support right there. But aside from that, I mean, there's really no complaints with this kit. It's been doing just fine. Like I said, I've had it on the car for, I'm pretty sure I've had it on for 7 months. I've gone to the drag strip with it. I've taken it out on the street plenty of times, and you know, it's doing just fine. Real bummer that the turbo broke, but I mean, kind of expect that, I guess. I know some people had that turbo kit on, or this turbo, and it's been on their car for about 3 years and it did just fine. For some reason mine just decided to take a crap, so I don't know, really not much I can do about that. So overall, I think I'd recommend this kit. I mean, again, I've only had it on the car for 7 months, so maybe I can give another update in another year or so if I find anything that breaks. But if you guys have been following along with this build in my channel, I've tried to be as thorough as I can, as detailed as I can whenever I make changes, so that way you guys know why I made those changes. But so far the only thing that's really failed on this thing is the turbo, and I know that's a big part of it, but it's been recommended to not run these turbos anyway, and I knew that going into it, so you kind of just take that how you want to. I mean, if you don't want to buy their turbo, then I also suggest don't buying their turbo, or don't buy it with the kit. Just go on ahead and spend the money on a different turbo, maybe one that you can do some research on. Maybe some people you know have used a different turbo and they've had good success with it. So far, I definitely will put a link in the description to the turbo that I got. It's been doing just fine. So yeah, but as far as the CX Racing kit is concerned, I definitely would recommend it. For the money, there's definitely I mean, for the money you're going to spend on this kit and to get everything you get, I mean, it's pretty much a win-win. You can't really go wrong with it, in my opinion. So yeah, so for those of you who have been on the fence about buying this kit for your IS300 or even your GS300, I guess they make a kit for that as well. I can't speak on the kits for the other cars, but as far as for this chassis, it should work out just fine. And I hope that you guys, you know, found this information somewhat useful. And again, I mentioned in a post on my community tab that, you know, the uploads this week, or excuse me, this month might be a little bit slower because of birthdays, including my own birthday and Christmas and just the new year. I'll be traveling and stuff, so I might not be uploading as much as I'd like to, but I do appreciate you guys watching the video still trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. So hopefully, I'm hoping to get there by the end of this month. That would be awesome to go into 2024 with 1,000 subscribers. I never thought I'd get this far, but you know, you guys have been watching the videos, and again, I so appreciate it that you guys take your time to even watch, you know, little old me. So I don't know what video will come up next, but just be on the lookout for something. Until next time, I will see you guys. Peace.